Come on, no one really wants to hang out with an arrogant person, do they? They are just the most difficult people to talk to, and they are very judgmental, and they find the whole relationship world, well, a little bit harder and difficult than most people. And if you happen to be a type of person that is suffering with overconfidence, you're probably arrogant and putting girls off. So let's dive into why arrogant people don't get girlfriends. They interrupt people when they speak. Every time you interrupt someone, it makes the other person involved in the conversation feel that you are not truly respecting what they have to say. And you are basically saying, look, what I'm about to say is far more important, so shut up. Shh. So if you overtalk on someone a couple of times in a conversation, it's usually okay because the other person could just think, you know what, I'll let them have it. They're very excited, clearly, and they just need to get whatever it is out of their mouth. However, if this is a regular trait of yours, it's a sign of arrogance and people don't like it, and the ladies, nada, do not like it either. You think that you are better than other people. If you have ever made it known to someone that you think that you are better looking, you are more intelligent, your overall state is a lot higher than everyone around you, well then obviously this is the heart of arrogance. And this is the type of behavior that girls do not want. So you need to be consciously aware of this. For example, you could say you spend lots of money on your appearance and then brag about how much money your haircut was before you came along to a date that you're sitting in today. You could say, hey, my car's very expensive. Bragging about how your skincare routine is more legit than hers because you have a Korean 15-step method. Or every time someone delivers facts or information, you always turn it down or try to mansplain. Now, a common example is when a guy tries to make out he is far better than a lady's ex. This could be true, but it's not something that should be said. Well, unless the person's arrogant, of course. You do not like people who are not like you. If you have ever made a passing comment, especially on a date, that if someone doesn't have your lifestyle or your way of thinking, or even just has the same way that you communicate, then they do not measure up to your standards, therefore they are not worth knowing. This is a big sign of arrogance, and ladies are very good at picking up on it, because it just tells her that you are this high state person in the world, and no one can compare to anyone that is a few steps below. You love talking about yourself. The worst thing is going on a date and the guy just talks about himself. It's horrible. And guys are repeat offenders at this. Some people are so arrogant that they talk about themselves all the time. And they love it, obviously. And then they love people talking about them. They would absolutely get off if the girl could say, oh my gosh, tell me more about how you made this successful business online and how much money you make and how you're self-made. Guys would love that. But deep down, the girls thinking, what an arrogant. If you love the attention to be always directed onto your face, then think about how this may actually affect the girl around you, or specifically the girl you go on a date with. If she feels she has to always stroke your ego to keep you happy, well, she is eventually just going to leave you. You go out of your way to be right. If you are the type of person that can never accept that sometimes you are wrong, you know what? It's okay to be wrong, but if you make a big deal to offer endless explanations of why something is correct and how the person that said you were wrong is in the wrong, you always have to find a way to prove that you are right. Well, this is textbook traits of arrogance, and this is what we call mansplaining. It's a potential issue on dates. It happens a lot of the time that if a lady is talking about something, they would feel the need to barge in with their textbook knowledge to prove their intelligence. Now, the odd fact here and there from a guy on a date is great. You know, we find it a bit like, oh, he's intelligent, we like this. However, if you have to constantly give us facts and mansplain, it's a sign of arrogance. Very common thing is when guys will correct a phrase or a movie quote and probably even says, you know what, you won't like that dish you've picked. Let me assist you. It's just very arrogant and gross. You are a pro at backhanded compliments. This is dangerous. You may think that you are saying nice things to people by praising them. However, you really need to think about what you said and if it was actually necessary. So very common backhanded compliments could be, wow, this date that we went on turned out to be a lot better than I expected. Really didn't think when you suggested this place that it would actually be good. This party that you put together was so much better than the last one. Never actually told you this, but the last party was, gosh, it was awful. Or very common, I can tell that you didn't have a lot of time to put this meal together, but you know what? Still tastes great. You combat other people's problems with your experience. If someone, let's say a lady, comes to you and says she's had such a stressful week, work has been crazy and she's had a personal issue to deal with, what they don't want to hear is you offering gentle advice as an overall perspective of something that you did and that you overcame. For example, you might dive straight in with the time that you did something similar and how your experience is definitely relevant and makes you some kind of professional for proof that you know what you were talking about. But what you don't realise is that this is very condescending and it's the easiest way to just make a date never want to talk to you again. Now, the best way to handle these situations is to say, wow, that's never happened to me before. Or wow, something similar happened, but you know what? I'm proud of you for going through this anyway. You struggle to actively listen. Ladies love to be listened to, and one of the biggest complaints from unsuccessful dates is girls saying the guy was not interested in what they had to say. If you are talking and you are saying to her, tell me more, this is brilliant, she knows you're listening. However, if you don't listen to a lady, your eyes just glaze over and you just seem to be nodding out of a routine thing every couple of seconds, and you are not asking any more expansion questions or picking up on what she's saying, then it's clear you are not interested and she's never, ever wanting to speak to you again. You cannot admit when you are wrong. A confident, humble person will always admit when they are wrong. It might suck for them to do so, but they are happy to say, I made a mistake, and they will correct that behavior and learn from the experience. But on the other hand, an arrogant person will refuse to accept that they are in the wrong. They will never own up to a mistake, and more likely, they will just blame it on someone else. Always taking the lead for the date ideas. Arrogant people rarely take other people's ideas on board. They assume they're going to be boring, not worthwhile, and commonly these people never actually let their date decide where they are going to next on their second date, or even what type of takeaway they should have. They feel the need to call the shots, and a woman will very quickly pick up on this because you are given the impression that her opinions will never be valid and never up to par. You send too many inappropriate texts. This applies to both text messages and pictures, and you know what I'm referring to. This type of thing really does spice up a relationship. However, if you always try to turn the conversations to something suggestive, it shows your arrogance and lack of care for the actual lady you are trying to impress, and she will just avoid you like the plague. I am fresh out of tips, but if you do want some more, then don't worry. There are some videos here next to my head. Go click on these because I really think you will like them. All you have to do now is tell me how much you enjoyed the video, give me a huge thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Stay safe, stay happy, bye-bye.